Hi, I'm Rad Linux. Today we're going to quickly go over building applications, or rather compiling applications as .faps. So this is specifically about building applications for the SD card. This can be a valuable tool for a handful of reasons, whether you're developing or it's possible that, the way that these faps work is that they have to be built for the API that your firmware is using. When you're using like the dev firmwares, the API is changing pretty quickly, and it comes up a lot that the apps that you might have downloaded from your favorite repo haven't been rebuilt yet for your flipper. So let's say that you need to rebuild something because you really want to use this new version of the firmware that you've downloaded, but the apps haven't been built for you yet. This is a way for you to compile your apps and send it to the flipper itself. So what I'm going to do is we're going to put this folder structure out. This is the firmware folder downloaded from Git. And so we're going to focus today on applications user. So that's the folder we want. Usually there'd be a README in here. I've deleted it. But the README basically just says drop your files or drop your folder in here of source code for it to be built, to get placed into a FAP, to get placed on the SD card, or built to the dist folder so that you can distribute it on its own. Pretty straightforward. You really just need to drop a folder of source code in here. Now, getting the source code or developing the source code is the hard part, but thanks to Uberguido, we're going to just copy tag R recursively from his repo, or from their repo. We're going to go to I know that I know this one. Okay, here we go. We're going to go to applications. Now, we are using the official firmware. There's also builds for the, other mainstream firmware out there, community firmware. We're also going to be looking at the dev firmware. So I'm trying to use the latest, most up-to-date version of the dev firmware. We're also going to be looking for source code, and there is specifically source code built by a handful of users. Today we're looking for Grinch because I would like the Tetris game. So we're going to copy that. We're going to copy that right to the folder we're in. So all you need to do is put a period here, and it will send it there. You can also send it, one folder back by using two periods. There's, a bunch of different possibilities. You can also send it a folder forward, I believe, by doing that. I don't know, whatever. Today we're going to focus on this period here, and we're going to get a folder, the Tetris game. Excellent. So let's go back. Let's open this folder again. And if you watch the last video, you'll know that FBT is the command we're going to need, or the flipper build tool. So we're going to FBT, and we're going to do fap distribute, or fap dist underscore dist. I'm just going to hit enter. And it's pretty straightforward. This is not going to build and send this to my flipper. It's just going to build the app. So we're going to go to the distribution folder, F7D is I believe what we want. And then we just want to go to apps. And we're going to go to games. There we go. And there should be two files here. Yeah, so there's a Snake game, the game that comes with the flipper, and this new Tetris app that we've built, or compiled rather. Now we want to get this on our flipper. So there's a handful of ways to do this. I'm going to show us the easiest way, or one of the more straightforward ways. We're going to switch over to this, and I am really just going to drag and drop. So I'm going to drag and drop this Tetris file onto the SD card. So we're going to be on our flipper. On our flipper, we want to go to the file manager, SD card, apps, and games. And you can just drag and drop right in there. Snake game is not what I wanted, though. I want Tetris. There we go. we're all set. So let's switch over to a bit of a different view, a more zoomed in view of our flipper. And let's take a peek. So if we go in and we move up, we go to applications, we go to games. There we go. We have Tetris. Now, this build, or the build that was in Uber Guido's repositories, was not working for the firmware that I have currently on the device. It's just a normal firmware. It was just updated through the app, but it is the latest dev firmware, so they're not always compiled fast enough. But as you can see, it works just fine. You don't have to change anything in the source code. The important part is that it is rebuilt to recognize the current API. And it's also cool because you can tweak and alter this game. The same way we're altering the source code of the Flipper firmware to make our own customizations. You can make your own customizations of a lot of the applications that exist as well, as long as you have your hands on the source, and a lot of them are available through GitHub. Well, there we go. Try to keep it short. Building your own applications as .faps from source code, incredibly easy to do. Thank you, Flipper team, for really creating an excellent build tool. And hopefully I'll see you next time on Rad Linux.